$10 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. That is a 10 with 12 zeros right behind it. It's a staggering figure, and it represents the sheer, unbelievable scale of the global construction industry. It's a massive industry. Actually, scratch that. It's quite literally the foundation of our entire global economy. But, when we look up at those towering skyscrapers or drive down endless highways, how often do we really stop to think about the micro details, the highly skilled hands that actually keep this giant macro economy standing upright?
Well, let's dive into this explainer and uncover the highly specific trade that holds our entire built world together. Today, we're looking way past the shiny glass facades and the smooth concrete walls. We're going to focus on the unsung heroes of this $10 trillion giant, the assistant bar benders and steel fixers. These are the specialized tradespeople manipulating the very steel that reinforces literally everything in modern human life. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the $10 trillion industry, surviving the global pandemic, 3 types of construction, the bar bending market, and finally, we'll crack open the Steel Fixers Dictionary. Let's jump right in.
Section 1, the $10 trillion industry.
So let's set the stakes here. Construction is an absolute heavyweight economic driver. Traditionally, it's a contracting sector, which means this massive global machine is actually made up of millions of smaller businesses and individual tradespeople all working together. And nowhere on earth is this growth more electric right now than in India. Get this, India's construction market is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of greater than 10% from 2022 to 2027. That is explosive, sustained growth happening right beneath our feet. But to fuel that kind of relentless expansion, you need way more than just investment capital and raw materials. You need immense human capital. You need skilled hands to actually put the whole shebang together.
Which brings us perfectly to this quote. Skilling is building a better India. If we have to move India towards development, then skill development should be our mission. This really bridges the gap between the crazy economic scale of construction and the absolutely critical importance of individual vocational trades. You just cannot build a $10 trillion industry without prioritizing the folks doing the heavy lifting.
And that quote comes directly from Sri Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. It brilliantly highlights how specialized vocational skills are viewed as the literal foundation of the country's future. It proves that skill development on the ground isn't just some corporate buzzword, it's a fundamental economic imperative for a growing nation. Section 2, Surviving the Global Pandemic. Now obviously this kind of explosive growth hasn't been without some major roadblocks. Let's pivot for a second and look at the recent hurdles the industry faced when the world just stopped. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in early 2020, it caused massive chaos across the whole construction value chain. We're talking severe supply chain issues, skyrocketing material prices, and the heartbreaking postponement or total cancellation of projects. It unfortunately forced a lot of small design studios and micro, small, and medium enterprises to close their doors. But here is the truly wild part. Despite lockdowns completely disrupting everything, the Indian construction sector still managed to deliver 45 million square feet of new supply in 2020 alone. That is incredible resilience in action. What's really fascinating here is how the pandemic physically shifted what we were building. Since everyone was staying home and e-commerce absolutely exploded, the demand for warehousing and logistics space just skyrocketed. By 2021, warehouse absorption was driven incredibly hard by third-party logistics and e-commerce. Delhi NCR led the pack, grabbing 18% of that absorption, followed closely by Pune at 15% and Mumbai at 14%. So the industry didn't just survive, it rapidly pivoted to build the exact logistics infrastructure we needed to keep all our home deliveries running smoothly.
Section 3, 3 types of construction.
Okay, so now that we've got the economics down, let's break this massive industry into 3 digestible categories. It really helps you mentally map the built environment you interact with every single day. First up, building construction. This is the one we all know best, residential and commercial projects. In fact, if you're sitting inside a house or an office building right now watching this explainer, you're literally inside this category. It covers everything from a simple bathroom remodel all the way up to commercial skyscrapers. And a fun fact, while commercial buildings use complex high-tech strategies, good old-fashioned brick construction is still the most common technique for residential houses in India. Next, we have industrial construction. Now, this is a smaller slice of the overall pie, but it is highly complex. We're talking petroleum plants, power generation facilities, chemical plants, heavy manufacturing hubs. This sector demands extreme precision and heavy machinery. You've got highly specialized teams of architects, civil engineers, and project managers working in perfect lockstep to make sure everything is both successful and safe. And the third category is infrastructure construction, or what the pros call heavy civil engineering. Just look at the sheer, awe-inspiring scale of an under-construction bridge like this. This sector is our highways, our dams, our water systems, and railways. It's the stuff that physically connects a nation. Infrastructure is a massive catalyst for economic growth, driving new townships and commercial projects all along its newly paved routes.
Section 4. The bar bending market.
So let's see how all of this builds directly to the specific subsector solving construction's biggest headache: concrete's need for strength. See, concrete is amazing at handling compressive weight, pushing down on it. But it is absolutely terrible at handling tension or bending forces. It'll just crack. And that is exactly where steel reinforcement swoops in to save the day. The people who bend and fix that steel are absolutely crucial to every single category we just talked about. To put the demand in perspective, the global rebar processing equipment market was expected to hit $9.28 billion by 2022, growing at a steady global rate of 5.2%. And over in India, this highly specialized market is expanding incredibly fast to keep up with all the new building and infrastructure development. And you know, a really vital thing to grasp here is that this isn't just brute force manual labor anymore. Not at all. It's a field of continuous innovation. Today, engineers use CAD software, computer-aided design, to create amazingly precise 3D models of these reinforced structures before a single piece of steel is ever cut on site. This lets them optimize designs and drastically reduce errors. It's this awesome, seamless blend of high-tech digital planning and incredibly skilled manual execution.
Section 5. The Steel Fixer's Dictionary.
Let's slow down for just a second here. I want to really ground you in the rapid-fire, everyday vocabulary of this specific trade. Let's learn the actual language spoken by the workers holding our buildings together. First up is rebar. That's short for reinforcing bar. Simply put, it's the steel bar used to reinforce concrete structures. It comes in all sorts of sizes and grades, totally depending on the specific strength needed for that exact spot in the building. It is the foundational ingredient for everything we've looked at today.
Next up, stirrups. These are short pieces of rebar bent into a U-shape, placed at regular intervals along columns or beams. And think about the crazy contrast here. A few minutes ago, we were talking about a $10 trillion macro economy. And right here, we're looking at a micro, hands-on piece of steel bent by a skilled worker that literally stops a massive concrete column from bursting under extreme pressure. Mind-blowing, right?
Then we have lap length. Obviously, steel bars aren't infinitely long, so they have to be joined together. The lap length is the highly specific length of overlap between two pieces of rebar that get tied together to make one continuous line. The precision here is totally non-negotiable. If that lap length is even a little bit too short, the structural integrity of the entire building is compromised. No pressure.
Now, consider bend diameter. This is the minimum diameter around which a piece of rebar can be bent without damaging it or causing microfractures in the steel itself. This perfectly highlights the real science behind the trade. A steel fixer has to use immense force to bend the steel into shape, but they have to respect the physical and chemical limits of the metal to keep its essential strength intact.
And finally, bar spacing. It is exactly what it sounds like, the precise calculated distance between two parallel reinforcement bars. Whether you're pouring a concrete driveway for a house or building the foundation for a massive highway bridge, these millimeter-level details keep the whole thing balanced. The engineers do the math, for sure, but the flawless execution, that's all on the steel fixer.
So I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you cross a massive suspension bridge or ride an elevator up a towering commercial high-rise, try to look past the shiny paint and the glass windows. Ask yourself, whose hands calculated the bend diameter, meticulously tied the stirrups, and perfectly spaced the steel that's keeping you safe right now? Our built world is a total marvel of macroeconomics and engineering, but it is held together by the very real, highly skilled hands of the bar bender and steel fixer. I hope this explainer has totally changed how you look at the concrete jungle around you. Thanks for watching, keep learning, and we'll catch you on the next one.